get us started here. Thank you for joining us. And we thank our guests for being with us. We've got a choir from Repairs of the Breach, so those of you who are at the 8:30 service got to enjoy that, and they'll be here for the 11 o'clock as well. And then we have the Executive Director, Lieutenant Brown, who's going to be speaking, and the Chairman of the Board, right, Melita Bice, no relation to Dan Bice. We're all familiar with Dan Bice around here, but no relation, so, but a good name nonetheless. So we welcome you up, and we've got some videos and to show.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us during this time in between services. We are so very blessed to be connecting, creating a blessed connection with St. Matthew's. We thank Heidi, I don't see her in the room, Heidi Fendos very much for being one of the main builders of bridges between this congregation and the organization, the nonprofit organization that is also the community of Repairs of the Breach. Not far from here, not really that far from here. And so in this time of connecting, we want to give you highlights about the work that we do, the facility that we have, the programs that we have, and also we want to answer questions. It would be really helpful if a member of the choir or two would pass out the two pieces of literature that are there. If you don't mind, a couple of you pass those out to everybody in the room. And there's Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. We know you're smiling today. We're all very, very blessed. And so in helping you to understand the Repairs of the Breach, we are very unique in our outreach to homeless single adults, in that we are about homeless people. Our grounding concept is really homeless people reaching out to each other. We have learned from the very beginning from some of the co-founders that this is a powerful way that people connect. And very often it's a key, one of the keys to why people at Repairs of the Breach succeed. Even people who come, the many coming in our door, among those 80 to 100 people per day average, even people coming in the door who are eating out of garbage cans, suicidal, selling their shoes in the winter, some of the people in very hardcore situations coming in our door, in our open door, because we don't ask 600 questions and then figure out, does this person fit our criteria before we can help them. We are not recipients of government funding. We have chosen not to seek government support of our programming because we want to not compromise some of the concepts we have there, such as our open door. And through that open door, so many people come and they are homeless for various reasons. They are from all walks of life. And what they're coming into is a living room, which is, you'll see pictures of in this, in these photos that we've compiled for today. They come into a living room where there is a real, true, sustainable community, even though the faces change and people are there for various lengths of time. But what binds them together is a commonality of homelessness. And as I said, a grounding concept is homeless people reaching out to each other, around which the context that we've been able, as an organization, been able to create is how this can happen. We've created a nonprofit organization which is dedicated to the work at 14th and Believe as being the main project that we have in the organization. What we have there at 14th and Believe is, as I mentioned in the 8:30 service, those of you who are there, is a daytime outreach to homeless people where people can work on their lives during daytime hours, no matter what choices they make with housing or shelter in the evening. They are given a toolbox there, a wide array of services. Some of them are portrayed in the centerfold of this brochure. This is an incomplete list. One of the main things we are offering at this time is our free walk-in medical clinic, which has just come into bloom, even though we've been doing it for, providing this service for 3 years out of our very substandard basement. Along came Dr. Melita Bice, who some of you know as a native of Wauwatosa, and spearheaded the development of this clinic. I'd like to introduce Melita and invite her to talk in some detail about the clinic at this time. You get to press the magic button. Why not let me show the pictures yet?
Good morning. I do have the privilege of establishing and seeing blossom a medical clinic. I've been a physician for some 40 years. I'm faculty here at Your Neighbor, the Medical College. I live down the street on Church Street. And in fact, to true confessions, I'm a trustee at St. Bernard's across the street, so I was over there during Mass this morning and snuck over here really fast. And we all did the same gospel, folks. We are so very intertwined. As Buchanan said, the Repair Center is literally just down the street. Take Milwaukee Avenue down to 14th Street, folks, and it's a whole different world. It is as different as crossing an ocean. Those of us who have been blessed to be born into caring, supportive families who kicked our butts when we needed it and helped us establish some security just don't have any idea the difficulties that occur there. I get a peek at it as the physician heading the clinic. I get cases in every day, suicidal, cardiac crisis, diabetic blood sugars over 600. That's daily routine. And in between the colds and flus and stomach aches and things that all docs are used to seeing, come pouring out, just heart-wrenching little tales about sleeping under the bridge on 6th Street last night and cops rousted us out and batted me over the head with a baton, about the man who broke in to the abandoned building the woman was sleeping in and sexually assaulted her. I mean, those are daily events about 4 miles down the street from our comfortable, secure homes in Wauwatosa. I am assisted in that clinic by volumes of wonderful people. We have, I think it's 8 nursing colleges now who rotate their nursing students through Marquette, Concordia, Cardinal Stritch, and ATC. I'm missing some. Some of my patients there would know some of them. And they come down with faculty. I always say I don't speak nurse, but those young idealistic nurses under supervision with medical backup see hundreds of patients. And we have these idealistic, starry-eyed young college people who sit back and pick their jaws up off the ground and reach an arm around someone and just get to view a whole different world. And I always say to them, they get to feed their addiction. Because all of us in the healthcare field, whether it's my residents that come down from the medical college, the physician assistant students who rotate through us for the PA program at Marquette, all of these nurses, the electrocardiogram techs who come to us from MATC, we have hordes of people, all of us share an addiction. And it is that at the end of our day, we need to feel we've made a difference. We need to feel we've touched somebody. I always say to these young students, you're all smart enough, you could have gotten MBAs and really made money. But instead, all these young medical students come in and share their need to reach out and touch and go home with so much more than they bring in that door. I know that many of us have been involved in charitable or nonprofit organizations, and I always resented the ones where I felt like the benevolent lady from the suburbs handing out crumbs to the peasants. Marie Antoinette is not my thing. Repairs is not like that. Because the philosophy behind it, the core philosophy is the homeless are the answer. It's not me with all my degrees, or you with your big checkbook, or you with all your education. I don't know how to survive on the street. I know how to do the yellow dot sale at Boston store. That's my survival skill. But I don't know how to keep my children safe tonight. I don't know how to figure out where we're going to huddle for shelter. I don't know how to look for the next meal. The homeless have those answers. And it is a privilege to band with these sturdy, faith-filled people and seek out some of these solutions. We are an organization that has much spirituality, but we are not bonded with any given brand of faith. There are some 600 churches, temples, mosques throughout the greater Milwaukee area who form a link. I am delighted to see that my neighbor St. Matthew's have become one of that strong ones. We'll challenge you. Over at Bernard's we make sandwiches too, but I admit yours are better. But we have all kinds of linkage with all sorts of church groups. Members are not required to subscribe to any particular brand of faith, but I have never seen such deep spiritual inspiration. I deal with patients, one gentleman, Rod, MRSA, C. diff, out of control brittle diabetes, cardiac complications, intermittent kidney shutdown. And Rod never leaves without saying, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Wow. It reminds me of the one time in my life when I really felt I prayed. You know, we Catholics have got all these rituals and rites, and we share a lot of them with you guys, and we've all mouthed them and danced through them. And sometimes I even mean them and think about them. But 5 years ago, 5 years and four and a half months ago, my only daughter, my precious daughter Kira, who's a physician, all three of my kids followed my bad habits. She heads a medical unit in British Columbia. She was caught in an avalanche, and she was buried for 12 hours. And I was summoned from across the country. I was doing a visit to Johns Hopkins, and I got the message that my daughter was at the edge of death, and I flew across the nation up to British Columbia, and I sat at that bedside. And there was no bar between me and my God. And it was, God, you've given me so much, and I am totally powerless to do anything to take care of this precious, precious child of mine. That pouring out is something I observe every day at Repairs of the Breach. I'm dealing with people who are powerless, who are totally at the whims of a very cruel world. And their connection, their spirituality is truly, truly inspiring. I want to see much more St. Matthew's down there, because Repairs has got so much to give you, so much inspiration, so much gratitude. What did I ever do? What did any of you ever do to get born where you were born? Rather than to a 14-year-old drug-addicted, overwhelmed young mom with no resources. We have a lot to be grateful for. And this is a place where your gratitude is tugged out of you, your spirituality is growing, and on top of it all, we actually get to do a little bit of good once in a while. So I'm inspired. I'd like all of you to get involved. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Melita. You can see how much we continue to walk in blessing when someone such as Melita helps us, and other people are part of the creating of solutions for homelessness, walking in solidarity as equals with our people, not as people who are up here and down here. Solidarity is one of our favorite words. What we're going to do now in just a couple of minutes is to stroll through some pictures. I apologize, we're all vessels. Good morning. And we're all vessels, and we are, some of us, broken vessels. My discovery Friday that my digital camera was not working well had me buy a disposable camera and in a very big hurry take as many photos as I could. Some of them, the lighting is really dubious. I do apologize for this not being where it should be in terms of perfection, but we hope you get a sense of the setting that we're in at 14th and Bleed. Just one more input about the work of the medical clinic, and that is that since January 1st of this year, we've served over 3,000 people in our free walk-in medical appointment, no appointment necessary clinic there at Repairs of the Breach. And since we were given a grant from Northwestern Mutual Foundation, a couple of smaller gifts, and $20,000 worth of help from Habitat for Humanity in the form of materials and labor, we have had to spend very, very little. More than the fax phone and phone line, very little. Melita, correct? Everything has been donated, supplies, equipment, furnishings, all of the things that we give. The clinic gives to the people coming through, helping to meet their medical needs. So this has been a real demonstration, glory to God, of a tremendous blessing that is part of the walking into the future we're going to be talking about. After we show these pictures, we're going to talk especially about the women's space, because thanks to Heidi Fendos and your pastoral team here representing St. Matthew's, there is special interest in that. So happy choir members are here, because some of them will be definitely helping to create that women's space too, and utilizing it. The choir once again has done us proud this morning. Did you want to pitch the need for more medical people at this point?
Always. Actually, we are so blessed at the clinic, but we always can be blessed a little more. I have a special need for additional physicians. There are only 3 of us who are physicians. There are about 120 nursing students and nurses. Good nurses, especially advanced practice nurses, are also needed. But prescribing physicians, so far I need be present at the clinic every hour it's open, so that there is a prescribing authority there. If any of you are docs, are married to docs, or harboring them in your homes, bring them out. I have a real need for podiatrists. The season of ugly feet is upon us. Early on, I did a survey of the patients I was serving there as opposed to my private practice at Freighter. What a world of difference. 85% of the people I see at Repairs are either pre-diabetic or diabetic or hypertensive, and usually both diabetic and hypertensive, and wildly so. So in winter, these diabetics go around with terrible shoes. I was going to say crappy shoes, but this is a church, so I'll clean up my act. Terrible shoes, walking through slush and frozen piles with diabetic feet, very subject to ulceration and breakdown. Fungal infections that make me want to leave the room and take care of myself. And foot problems that, we brilliant MDs know little about. We were kind of trained that the body ends about at the ankle and there's something else there. A podiatrist would be a wonderful, wonderful help. And the rest of you who can't kidnap a physician or a podiatrist for me, we always run out of over-the-counter medications. We do keep prescriptive drugs, and frankly, I have a reasonably good access and supply to those. But over-the-counter, colds, flus, aspirin, Vicks, all of that stuff that you've all got in your home cupboards, I can use that times 100. So gather it. I will walk down the street, pick it up, and drag it in. Thanks.
Good. So we'll stroll through these photos, and then we'll have another time. We'll have a dialogue, question, answer. So we'll begin with I guess the beginning photo was our facade. Do we have that? Okay. So this is from the west side. This is from 14th Street, and you can see what a huge facility we have. Up until recently, we only had the use of the first floor, the east side of the first floor, and the basement. For many years, we were offering between 20 and 30 programs, services, and initiatives out of that very limited space. There was a barber shop on where the clinic is now. Now you can see evidence of an addition to the west, because the area we call the living room, which is the commons area, is so very crowded, especially in cold weather. We start to have to turn people away when it gets between 50 and 60 people, but now we have the new addition. It's there's the facade. We had done the facade, we had the facade renovated first to show the people of the neighborhood and to City Hall. We really intend to lead that neighborhood in development, beautification of buildings. So it was very, what we call ugly, and now this is what it looks like. We'll go back to that other side view. Okay, this is the view. Is it out of order? Okay, so we had the view from the west. Now this is the area which is now our yard, a little smaller because of the addition, but we, before the construction, we had the most beautiful green space north of Marquette in that area of the city. This is what we have to work with now, and we're going to be able to do landscaping, reinvent our beautiful yard. Go ahead. This is the rear of the facility. This is the new south structure, which houses the elevator, which is going to be delivered the 13th and 14th of this month. The elevator that will serve our second and third floor as we expand into those floors. This is the entrance. It's going to be from 14th Street. We aspire to have wrought iron fence instead of our chain link fence that has always kept the positive in and the negative out in that neighborhood. The wrought iron with brick columns. This is the area, it's hard to see, but we have had a community garden for all of these years and enjoyed so much the produce, having church people come in and work side by side with our homeless people to take care of the garden. Right now there's a cement mixer, a large, very large cement mixer machine there. And then going into this south structure, that's where the elevator will be. Go ahead. This is entering that south structure, which will have a welcoming area, an intake orientation area. This is one view of the living room, the commons area. As I said, on Saturdays and in the cold weather, often we add many, many chairs and we have to turn people away. This is Noah, our Jesuit intern, pulling back the plastic. I was hoping we could see more of the interior of the west addition, which is under progress. That is the exterior of that west addition. It will have solar cubes for skylight view or skylight light, in addition to the glass blocks that will be on the sides of the building. This is the front of our medical clinic that Melita has been describing to you. Let's go in the door. Whoops, it's not in the right order. This is another view of our living room to be renovated. That is the soup kitchen. We have been licensed as a soup kitchen. It's not our intention to be a full-scale meal program. There are 5 large meal programs in the nearby vicinity. Out of this soup kitchen, we serve between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock every day a warm meal utilizing 4 Nescos. And we have a lot of food coming in from people and groups that want to help us. Chris Capper, are you here? He represents a group that brings food in. I know St. Matthew's brings in lunches. We feed, as I said, 80 to 100 people per day average come through our door. They're not all there at once. We're open from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. But we do provide soup, chili, whatever we have on hand. We run low on food, we pray, and then more food comes in. We have then another view of the living room to be upgraded, an area that is storage for the pastries that come in large number, which provides our continental breakfast, our refrigerator there, some of our team, that's the front desk where people check in. Charles Richardson, our shelter manager, and his leadership team do the work of running the operation there every day, and also the self-governance of the organization. We've never paid private security. We've never engaged police in our day-to-day. Homeless people who are selected, or homeless people in transition, who are selected for the leadership team with the shelter manager, govern the center with the rules that were written by the homeless. We're a model of self-governance. In all the years we've been doing this every day except Sunday, Since 1994, we've only had 2 incidents that even resembled violence erupting, and we squashed them since 1994 with hundreds and hundreds of people coming through our door. This is the interior of the clinic. Yeah, there are 3 exam rooms. Do you want to mention a little bit about the interior? Okay. And then moving on. This is the registration area for the clinic and the clinic front desk. This is not lit well, but it represents the waiting room for the clinic. And this is the consulting room in the clinic. And this is where supplies are gathered and given out. Dispensary, right? Dispensary. Okay. And so an exam room is fully equipped and very beautiful. This is second floor. The condition that second floor is in. Right now you're looking at the future job center. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is the condition of second and third floor at this time, ready for drywall, ready for flooring, ready for ceilings, and the finishing ready to happen so that then the furnishing and the beautification of these rooms and then the completion of these rooms for the programs to be launched on second and third floors. And then the job center. We have, we'll talk a little bit more about the wonderful programs that will be offered. This is a little bit of second floor. This is stair steps, and that's the skylights coming down from the ceiling onto the third floor. So what I just ran out of camera in time for was the picture that is probably most interesting to you all, which is the women's space on third floor. So I brought the floor plans along for you to see that portion of third floor where there is a 4-room suite planned for the option for women coming through to be in a space for women only. We are always co-ed. The majority of the people that we serve are men. However, as the years have come up to pass, we've had an increasing presence of homeless women. Every year, the percentage increases. What we know about homeless women is that their situations usually include more than one crisis, that many of their problems seem nearly insurmountable. Each individual problem seems sometimes insurmountable. That a number of our homeless women have been victims of sexual assault or relationship violence. So the idea of a 4-room suite for homeless women really has an appeal. And so you'll see the rooms there. The social room is the largest. There's a quiet room. And there's a room for counseling, and we're going to be creating with very great presence of St. Matthew's Lutheran on the committee. That's the planning committee now, and Heidi Fendos thankfully taking the lead role of this committee, creating programming for that space as well as collaborative relationships with other organizations that can bring in help with counseling and other specialized help for women into that space. The bathroom, guess what? Someone has pledged a lifetime supply of bubble bath for that space. We'll have a bathtub instead of the usual showers that are elsewhere in the facility. I just wonder at this time, Heidi, would you want to say something? Oh, I don't know how that got on there. Heidi, did you want to say?
When we were at repairs a couple weeks ago, and guess what? Chris had his camera. Big surprise, right? So we have the images that McKenna doesn't. What you're looking at right here is the women's retreat space in its current state. And what we will be doing is finishing it. The builders will be putting the drywall up, a coat of paint and flooring, and then it's going to be up to St. Matt's to furnish the room, working with advice from homeless women as to what they would like to see in this room, and McKenna and others. Our hope is to make it a place that women will feel safe attending or being in that room, and they will also get the programming that they need to operate better in life. As McKenna said, a lot of these people have diabetes, so our thought was that it would be great to have some information in there about nutrition. A lot of these women have had sexual assaults or other issues, and we'd like to get them counseling that they deserve and need. We want this room to be a safe haven for them, and we would like to work to make it a beautiful place for them where they can see the vision for their future and be inspired to be the best that they deserve to be.
Thank you. You've given real evidence of divine order this morning by providing that. Thank you. I'm just going to pick on someone, and I hope you don't mind my bringing you into this without warning. Lanny, would you like to say something about what this will mean for the women who are currently homeless at our center? Lanny's in our choir, and she's someone who's come through and really grown a lot in her person and become someone who makes a difference for others.
Hello, Saints. There's a Breaches place to be. Being there at the repairs of the breach, I was homeless. I was that individual that didn't know who I was and where I was and where I was going. Repairs of the breaches, place where I found stability, I found peace and love. Being in prison was great, and out there doing drugs and alcohol. Repairs of the breach through the sister and everybody else, I helped to come to the conclusion that it was time for Lenny to change, because Lenny didn't know who she was. And I was that individual that slept on the ground and was homeless. But now God has set me free, and now I can live and say that Repairs is a place of hope. You can't say nothing else but about it. And sister is so sweet to all of us. You know, she's our little angel. And we get help there. So. I'm good.
Thank you, Lanny. That was really great for you to say that without warning. And thank you for your courage to do that. And thank you for being someone that is now a role model to other people.
And I got my own keys now.
Yeah. You want to show us your keys? Let's see those keys. You got them? Oh, they're in the Thank you. And so right now, anything else that, Pastor Margaret, would you like to say something about the women's space before we go into the question and answers?
I first got involved with it because Heidi and Pastor Chris and Gretchen invited me to come down there, and just seeing that space and hearing the testimony of some of the people, there's really a very strong need to do this for the women there. The other place I just like to lift up is the space that you're doing to create jobs for people. Going there, one of the things that struck me is kind of like we're in Africa. There was a similarity between what I saw in Tanzania and what I saw in Kenya and what I saw at Repairs of the Breach. The needs were very similar, and as they talked about this space where they're going to be teaching people to quilt as a way to learn job skills, you've got to show up on time, you've got to do what you said, you've got to clean up your work area, you have to be polite, all those kinds of things. It was the same kind of things that were going on in Africa, and it just sort of struck me the importance overall of what we do to care for people in our community and the opportunities that are really there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this beautiful space that will be furnished for the women, and also this space that will be furnished to help people find jobs, people in our central city who really need work. So thank you very much for the work that all of you are doing for our city.
one of our favorite words is we, because there are so many. There are so many people, especially including homeless and formerly homeless people we call alumni. You know, you're in the choir, there are both alumni of our center and currently homeless women from our center. This morning, we have so many people doing what would be, nothing is small, but things that are of a more minor nature, and people doing, as Melita, for instance, doing things of a larger nature, but all of it is great and helpful. So we'll talk about volunteers right now. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to share something that struck me. You know, all of us healthy white suburbanites sit back and think we're so generous. And I see unbelievable generosity. Just two short little anecdotes that struck me strongly, and I've got dozens that struck me strongly. I had a woman in the clinic, and it was clear that she was bipolar and cyclomanic, and she was also dangerously hypertensive. Well, hypertension I can handle, but I admit my stupidity. When we come to psychotropics, I don't consider myself an expert. So I called a friend. My medical friends no longer take my calls. They always know what I'm going to do. And Dan agreed that he'd sneak her in the back door, you know, under the radar without billing, and he happened to be here at what most of us know as the Dewey Center, but is Aurora Psych. So I reached him, and he was gracious and said, send her right over, and I'll see that she's taken care of. So I went back to my patient very happily, and I said, oh, I've got this wonderful doc, and he really will be so helpful to you, and he'll take care of this and that and the next thing. She said, well, how'd I get there, doc? I said, oh, it's right up State Street, you know, right overlooking the village, you know, and she said, yeah, how do I get there, doc? Well, I really felt brilliant because most days I take my little white Jaguar and drive straight down State Street, so I knew that there was a number 71 bus. Never been on it, but I knew it existed. I said, oh, you take the 71 bus. Street smart lady that I am, and she said, how do I get there, doc? And I realized, yeah, where did she come up with bus fare? So we keep a precious limited number of bus tickets in the clinic. We didn't have any that day. I went to the front desk in the living room and said, hey, you guys got some bus tickets? No, but they agreed they'd check the community and see if some of the members had bus tickets. It's been my impression that bus tickets on the street are essentially cash. You can buy whatever their form of cash. So I asked our leader, our homeless leader, you know, what does a bus ticket cost? $2.25. And that's about what I usually have in cash in my wallet. Lots of plastic, but you know, about $3. I had just been to the ATM. I opened my wallet, and there's this little embarrassing pile of 20s. And I'm flipping through them while our shelter manager brings a woman over who's got a bus ticket. She sees what I'm doing. I'm not going to insult her by giving her $20 or be stupid by saying you got change. And I said, you know, I'll get the $2.25 for you. What do you need this for, doc? And I said, there's a woman over in the clinic. She's really sick. She really needs to see a doctor. And I've got someone waiting to see her out in Wauwatosa, but we need a bus ticket. She said, she's really sick. She's really going to see the doc. You give this to her. I said, oh, I'll come back with you in $2.25. She said, doc, you give this to her. She needs it. Talk about the widow's mite. I know that woman did not have 2 nickels in her pocket. She had a $2.25 fortune that she handed over because it was needed. I see it all the time. One other really quick one, because we do want time for questions, but I want you to see the community that's being served and formed and blessing us. On Saturdays, in winter, we have a good working relationship with the emergency department at Sinai. We should. We save them hundreds of thousands of dollars in inappropriate emergency room visits. And so we have this working relationship. When they triage a patient brought in from the freezing temps and they recognize the patient to be stable, they'll pick up the cab fare to have that person brought over to the front door of the clinic. So they brought in a gentleman who I think had probably spent the night with a bottle on a snowbank. And he was shakily walked in, and the homeless leadership team surrounded him and offered him a sandwich and a cup of coffee. And I noticed that he had on a pair of blue latex gloves, and any of you who've ever worked in a medical setting knows that it's exactly what we use in ED, the triple ply thickness, guard against needle sticks, and said that's what he had for his hands. So I said to one of the homeless leadership team, do we have some gloves? That's a limited commodity in winter. We absolutely run out of hats and gloves. Another thing to stick back there, it's always needed. And he said, gee, Doc, we're all out. And he pulls a brand new pair of gloves out of his pocket, really nice, fleece lined, tags on them. And he said, I won these here this morning in the talent show. So here, Doc, give this guy these gloves. Well, I knew he didn't have another pair on his person, but he was determined. This guy needs them. I said, okay, you give them. And Derek approached this homeless man and said, here, buddy, see if these fit. Again, nothing else to his name, but a brand new pair of gloves. And we think we're being generous when we write a check out of our abundance or clean out our closets. There's more generosity there for us to learn from than I have seen anywhere else.
Thank you. You'll notice we use the word members rather than clients. We're a pioneering model for the country. What we're doing is very unique. There have never been blueprints for what we do. Started with tiny beginnings, but what we have been trying to do, just totally of the spirit, with the main faith base being the community of homeless people there. We're ready for some questions. There's so much more to tell you. We want you to visit our website, which is near here. But who has questions right now that we can handle with you? Yeah.
Does the housing authority come into play in any of your teaching or help that's available?
We are known for our linkages, and so we provide linkages for not just from the medical clinic, which is a model of collaboration, but also with our people. We have many, many places that we have them as resources go to using our free phone or however we can put it together. We are the solution to how to find solutions. Yes, sir.
Do you see many kids at the...
We don't serve children. Early on, we observed in the founding years that the people who are homeless with children with them are accommodated much better by the system. We observed that single homeless adults have access to far less resources. Many of them have children, families, and so one of our main outcomes that we work toward is family reunification. It happens often with our people. Another question. Sir.
I believe you indicated earlier you provide continental breakfast at 7:30 and then lunch between 11 and 2. So 2 meals a day?
It is, that is true. From 7 when we open until 11, we offer that continental breakfast. 11 till 2, we offer the warm meal. And if someone comes in before we close at 4, after the kitchen closes, we'll find something for them. With the whole picture of what food is served there, we're right now doing some assessment and change based on the findings of the clinic related to diabetes and hypertension, and we're bringing in some people who will help us make changes in the menu there. Okay. Yes. We are the main base for clothing needs for the homeless of Milwaukee, and we have a clothing bank we affectionately call our Boston store. We give out clothing all the time, seriously needed. If you want to see a wish list, you can call the number in that brochure. Right now we're asking people for jackets and coats, for warm outerwear of all kinds, especially gloves, as Melita mentioned.
And a good resource for cleaning out my parents' house.
Yes.
We need all of it. What we want in-season clothing.
Yeah.
And we don't, I mean, if someone gives us children's clothing, we'll give it to the agencies that serve children. But you can ask for a wish list.
And household.
We also give to people who are our alumni, like Lenny, who has keys now. When our people get housing, we still continue the connection. We have a group of people in Mequon and Cedarburg who coordinate donations of furniture with our people who have just gotten housing, and we have a system of pickup and delivery that provides for that need. It's an amazing thing because the people who deliver the furniture often come into a space where there's only a blanket on the floor, and we're able to provide. That's something you can be aware of in what you do. And then at 3 o'clock every Saturday, we are making available to people who can prove they have housing whatever has come in for household goods. All of that is very expensive, and we just welcome practical, not the silly stuff, but practical things that people need to outlay money for in terms of setting up housing. Another question. Just happy to tell you that in the second floor, not only what she mentioned about providing for people who have not been in the workforce. See, we're a major access point. We have this open door, and the credibility and the trust of the homeless community and the people in need in that concentrated area. The lines between poverty and homelessness are very fuzzy. So in all of that setting, we have this credibility and trust, and we have a door that people can come through and not have this process to determine whether they fit our criteria or not, because we are not regulated by the government. And so the 80 to 100 people average coming through the door are people, as you said, it's like some of them live in third world countries. And the lady can attest to that. The conditions that exist in this city, which is ranked 4th in the country in the level of poverty among cities, some of those living conditions resemble Beirut. I just happened to have a car window conversation yesterday with Chuck, who we had known for years, who was somewhat chronically homeless, living on the streets, but I saw him and he came up to the car window. He said he has an apartment in a real bad neighborhood now, and that he's been beat up 4 times inside his apartment. I asked why hasn't he been coming around? He said, well, I'll come back, I just had to deal with stuff, So even when people get housing, it's not always the answer to everything. But we have this unique opportunity. So we have the people who have been in the workforce, and they have had that kind of experience. They want to work, they're employable. So we have this job center that's being planned, which is also, like the clinic, a model of collaboration. We're going to do everything possible to reverse the statistic of 30% in Milwaukee, 30% unemployment among African American males alone. We're going to have our educational program, adult basic education. Some of you know that in Milwaukee, the literacy rate for adults in this city is 27%. Many of the people coming in our door are semi-literate, so we're going to bring in Milwaukee Achiever program, import them to deliver something that's very needed there. We're going to have the women's space. We'll have a chapel, a meditation and prayer center on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And there's more being added all the time. Physical therapy is now offered as part of the clinic services. We just keep adding because the needs of our people, we have this opportunity to do this all in a one-stop shop. So we really do appreciate any one of you being willing to be involved. Right now, as we approach the renovation's completion, we need 200 new volunteers. We need this many on various committees and various capacities. So if the Spirit is prompting you today, well, please do call the number or go to the website. And as the choir is saying, sign me up, sign me up. We also are in our 7 years of fundraising for the Capital Fund campaign, our little organization serving misunderstood people has been able to come very close to our goal of $2 million. We have about $150,000 to go to reach that goal. And as you know, we're not supported by government money. We need money for our operation, just the continuation of what we do day to day, as well as the funding to complete our renovation. So I invite you, we've never been money driven, we've been faith driven and vision driven, and we've come this far. So we invite you in your journey to assess what kind of resources you want to share with us, time, talent, treasure. But just being here today and being in the embrace of solidarity with all of you is a tremendous blessing. We hope it's a two-way street. We're bringing you the blessing, and you're giving us the blessing. I'm wondering, would you lead us in a closing prayer? Would that be possible?
Well, as you can see, it's an impressive place, the amount of work that goes on there, and the real help that happens in Milwaukee. We always try to encourage St. Matthew's members to get involved in different organizations as well. So if you are feeling that tug upon your own heart to help out, there's lots of ways to get involved and to help out. We do our monthly meals, the sandwiches that we make, we always offer that if you ever want to come down and help make meals. Make lunches, that's always a great thing, but also just going down and getting involved. We've thought about even doing a trip there, just bringing people that would like to come down and get acquainted, and it really is an impressive place. So thank you for your ministry. Let's close in prayer. Dear great and gracious God, we know your heart is broken so many times by people who have such great needs, people that need help, and people that are reaching out. Help us, Lord, to respond. Help us to hear the cries of so many that need help. And help our hearts to be broken as well, so that we realize how our brothers and sisters who are so close could use help. We thank you for this ministry that we've gotten associated with, and we ask that you continue to bless us in our partnership together. And so we thank you and we lift up your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thanks. We encourage you to stick around and ask any questions that you have individually. Thanks.